full extent for their crimes. The Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment upholds equal protection under the law to every citizen. Like the law states, it is in this very spirit that a certain amount of equality is prescribed in the prosecution of like crimes, even when individual justice and common sense might suggest otherwise. The lack of criminal equality under the 14th Amendment has caused turmoil in the U.S. and within citizens' mindsets of how the American justice system works. The inherent issues I will be discussing are socioeconomics, the American justice system, and the process of criminals being prosecuted. The inherent issues being addressed, I will first talk about the socioeconomic side of crime. Some think that no matter your rank, you should get whatever punishment necessary for your crime. The principle of equality requires that felons be treated with some degree of equality. Brock Turner, for example, had 3 felony counts of sexual assault and served 3 months prison time when he was sentenced to 6. His only punishment was having to register as a sex offender and the 3 months in prison. Some people would argue that this was a fair punishment because he had a clean record. Others believe that certain people get special treatment depending on their socioeconomic status. Hillary Clinton, for example, was never charged with a crime when she sent and received emails with confidential information. Is that just an example of the wealthy and politically powerful having no consequences for their actions? Imagine a hypothetical story where a husband and wife are walking down an alley when a criminal approaches them and demands that they hand over their wallets. When the criminal steps forward as if to attack, the husband grabs his pocket knife and jabs the criminal in the neck, killing him. A court would rule that although he was acting in self-defense, his use of force was excessive and he would be charged with voluntary manslaughter, which requires prison time. People would argue that the husband didn't deserve prison time because he was a respected member of the community or a valued employee or husband or father. They might also argue that he bettered the community by ridding the community of the criminal who might have hurt more people in the future. My next inherent issue is the American jury system. It is claimed that the jury system is fair. William Virgil was sentenced to 70 years for alleged murder. The Cincinnati Enquirer stated that new evidence was found of other people's blood at the scene of the murder. Virgil was released with an ankle monitor probation for a retrial after serving 30 years. He requested that his monitor be removed because he had probation, but the jury denied his request because he was still a criminal and could still be dangerous. Federal and state jurisdictions have toughened sentencing. In addition to being arrested, the rate of being admitted into prison increased for all offenses, even the ones with low arrest rates in the past. The book, Crime, the Criminal Justice System, and Socioeconomic Inequality quotes, "Because each state has its own penalty code, sentencing structure, and Department of Corrections, sentencing and correctional practices vary across the United States. Also, populations of prisoners are at all-time historical highs." Contrary to popular beliefs of a fair justice system, it is said that the court system doesn't take some cases seriously and is too lenient. An example would be rape cases. Sexual assault has an automatic sentence of 2 years, but Brock Turner got 6 months and got out 3 months early. My final inherent issue is the criminal and arresting process. It could be stated that police are biased towards those with a criminal record. This is where we round up the usual suspects. So, do these usual suspects make up the majority of arrestees? And do law-abiding citizens get more leniency from law officials? Another thing is the act of police officers committing perjury, which is called testifying. Some believe that testifying is not necessary because other legitimate evidence is sufficient. On the other side of the fence, people believe that it is necessary because legitimate evidence only clears 50% of evidence. The combination clears both thresholds of evidence. In conclusion, there are a few inherent issues when discussing the equality of punishment among citizens. The first is if socioeconomics are considered when deciding a punishment. The second is if the American justice system is fair or if it is flawed. The third is the process of arrest and cops being honest and fulfilling their duties to the most honest extent. It is reasonable to want reductions in crimes and inequality of justice sanctioning. With many pros and cons, something needs to be done about the inequality of punishment. Questions?
After doing your research, do you believe that we do have a bias law enforcement?
Some research would say so, but then there's also enough research to say that the justice system is fair and they do punish people fairly for their crimes.
Has there been any deeper look about how they could change the jury system or any other alternative to the jury system?
I know that people protested to have the judge fired that ruled in the Brock Turner case, but I didn't